Happy to share Disciples' Generous Response comments for our campground fundraiser tonight. You know that I have camped, worshiped, and fellowshipped with you many times at Remote and Lewis River and Samish Island Community of Christ campgrounds. I have worshiped under strung lights in the Myrtle Tree Grove at Remote before we owned a huge tent, and climbed the steep hill to the White Cross. I've attended baptisms with you in the dammed up creek of Lewis River and hiked up to its steep waterfall. I've worshiped with you at Cedar Chapel and reverently visited Chief Samish's grave, our outdoor labyrinth, and North Point at Samish. Many of us in tonight's worship have received the heritage of our campgrounds because of the long-term sacrifice and vision of our parents, our grandparents, and even our great-grandparents. Their generosity fills us with gratitude and awe. As I thought about our campgrounds fundraiser for this evening, I recalled the many times Jesus used parables about the rich landowner, a metaphor for God, and his servants, that's us. The servants were entrusted with the landowner's property, fields, vineyards, flocks, and buildings, while he went away. The servants, or stewards, of course, represented all human beings, to whom God entrusted all of God's creation. In one parable, Jesus told, the parable of the talents, which is found in Matthew 25, verses 14 through 30. The rich landowner told 3 trusted servants he was going away on a journey. He left his workers significant but varying amounts of coins, which were called talents, to use and grow for the master while taking care of the estate in his absence. What resonates for me tonight in this story, as we think about our stewardship of our campgrounds, is that the workers had no idea how long they would be responsible for their master's property and the money he had given them. They had no timeline for when the landowner would return and demand an accounting for his investment in and through them. The wisest 2 servants understood their responsibility was to take care of and enrich what they had been given, knowing that the rich man would return at an unscheduled, unpredictable time to find out how they had managed his property. In the meantime, they were to be faithful, industrious, even take risks, acting as if they were the owners. The 3rd servant was so afraid of losing what he was given to manage that he gave up and buried the money given to him in the ground and did nothing with it. What a reckoning he had when the master returned and discovered the 3rd servant hadn't even tried. Tonight we remember that we do not personally own our campgrounds, yet we are their stewards, tasked with behaving as if we were the owners. More than ever, our campgrounds need our financial gifts. Our campgrounds are run as nonprofits. That is, we keep our fees for members and outside groups as low as we can to cover the cost of operations, scheduled and unplanned maintenance, and small improvements, utilities, compensation for our paid campground staff, and future capital projects. Any extra money we make in the summer goes to handle ongoing costs when camp is at rest and startup costs when they reopen. This year, due to the pandemic, our campgrounds are closed to church activities and outside tenants. Both church and outside groups have provided needed annual income to keep our campgrounds financially viable. We have fixed expenses that continue even when our campgrounds are not being used and fees are not received. Don Welch, our Mission Center financial officer, asked each campground treasurer to project what financial gap they already have and expect due to pandemic closures. This, of course, is a tricky guess since we don't know when we can open up our campgrounds again. And we can't be sure what groups will return or how attendance may be affected. Already, campground leaders are considering the need to spend otherwise designated money in order to maintain their operational needs. And, depending on the campground, the financial projections I just mentioned indicate between a $50,000 and a $90,000 loss until some kind of reopening can occur. These are big numbers, requiring major sacrifices from those of us whose current financial situation is sufficient to make large gifts responsibly. All gifts of any size are welcome and needed. If your financial situation is sufficient and stable, I ask you to remember or even look up what you paid last year for your reunion for you and your family. Since reunion is being offered for free, can you make a gift comparable to your expenses at last year's reunion, to your campground, or spread your gift across all 3 reunion grounds? That size of gift is often a family decision you may not be able to make this evening. Campgrounds will continue to make their needs known while the pandemic continues, and the Mission Center will relay this information through news briefs. Your financial gifts are welcome monthly, quarterly, or all at once, whatever works best for you. Sean's going to put up a slide here that will show that there are 2 easy ways to give. You can send a check to the treasurer or financial representative of the campground or campgrounds you want to fund, as shown on this slide and tonight's worship bulletin at the bottom of the bulletin. To Stella Myers for Camp Remote, to Karen Sundstrom for Lewis River, to Dave Score for Samish Island, and they will send you a receipt for tax purposes. Or, as also shown on the slide and bulletin, you can make a gift through the GPNW Mission Center on the World Church e-tithing site. E-tithing can be used for regular giving, such as weekly or monthly, as you might designate, or for a one-time gift. You can use a credit or debit card or have funds withdrawn from your checking account with your permission. It's your choice. And you would go to the website address listed here, app.securegive.com/Sea of Christ. You would select Greater Pacific Northwest Mission Center and click on the Donate button. Select the campground operating fund of your choice, 1 or more. If you use the e-tithing site, your contribution will also appear in your Shelby contributions record for the year. You'll receive a charitable giving tax receipt from World Church. If you have any other requirements or questions about giving to our campgrounds, contact Donald Welch or your campground treasurer and financial representative. GPNW is made of wise and generous stewards. We have accepted and met steep giving goals in the past, and I am confident we will do it again. Our precise length of time we are asked to steward the campgrounds may be unknown. While we are stewards, may we be faithful, hope-filled, steadfast, and generous.